Hi, I'm leaving my comfort zone with a barrel-aged Imperial Stout. It's probably the last rainy, cold day until like September, so I'm having this Prairie Apple Brandy Barrel Noir. Noir is their regular, unspiced, unflavored Imperial Stout, different from their series of Prairie Bomb spiced Imperial Stouts, and I kind of like the ones that are unspiced and flavored. This one's 12% alcohol. It says 130/16 on here. I'm guessing that is the day of the year that they bottled it, so it was 130th day of 2016, so around a year ago. This was bottled, and I've been keeping it in my fridge since I bought it, basically. To keep it nice and full-bodied and sweet. Not really into aging most stouts, I won't say none. And it has better ratings than most of the Prairie Bomb stouts. Pretty high ratings. But I think apple brandy barrels are getting pretty hip to be aging things in, especially stouts. I know Night Shift has a lot of dark beers they've aged in apple brandy barrels. But this one has, I think, even better ratings than most of them. All my friends recommended it to me. It should be the time now. Doesn't look like motor oil exactly. But the head is pretty dark. It's not very rich and thick of a head, but it is very cold. But that's alright. I usually don't want too much carbonation in my stouts, and I'm seeing plenty of bubbles on the edges here. And I got some burst of aroma. Oh yeah. Definitely lots of apple booze aroma. The barrel is super strong in this, even after a year in the bottle. Underneath I get a mixture of melted dark chocolate and molasses. Smells like it's gonna be on the sweeter end, which is good. Only a touch of that soy sauce licorice thing that people always talk about with dark beers and how it can be overwhelming with some. It's not too much. I actually recently made some homemade teriyaki sauce that I simmered for a little bit too long, and I got a teeny bit burnt, got real rich and thick, and it reminded me a little bit of these super dark, very boiled, intense caramelized stouts. But there's a definite cider note happening, but it's not like in some beers where like there's a cidery flavor that comes from the yeast. This is clearly from the barrels, and it adds a really interesting edge to it. It's not your normal pure roasty coffee chocolate thing. Like, I'm not even getting that much coffee because it's very fruity, and it doesn't smell like it's crazy charred. And when I hold up to the light, there's some light that comes through the edges. It's hard for you to tell on the camera, but it's not the blackest thing. So yeah, I can kind of see through it. It doesn't smell smoky. Looks like it's gonna be they made this one to help the barrel especially come out. It's really nice aroma. Ooh, very full-bodied and sweet, rich, caramely, lots of caramel, like caramel and chocolate-covered apple. Yeah, that is really nice. The mouth feels really big, and the smell didn't seem like it didn't make it out to be the sweet, but there's still plenty of rich, thick, dark, malty body and flavors. And it finishes with lots of brown sugar, molasses and caramel notes too that linger, with just a little bit of some sort of, cordial, sweet apple cordial thing happening. And yeah, I think the oak is bringing out some of the caramel, vanilla caramel sort of flavor. And the finish, yeah, one sip of this has a lot of flavor. It's very, very nice. It's maybe closer to a Bourbon County stout style. It's not quite that big, and it's boozy and sweet, but it's very different from like KBS that I had recently. This KBS is never that super huge body, sweet, ridiculously boozy beer like Bourbon County, and this is maybe somewhere in between. This is only 12%. KBS is usually under 12, and Bourbon County Stout's always usually way over 12%. And there is some heat in this, but it doesn't come through as ethanol in the aroma or flavor very much at all. But rich and pillowy on the tongue, just feeling it on your tongue, holding on there is so delightful. I wouldn't say it's exactly creamy, maybe it just needs to cool off, but I do feel those light bubbles. It does have a pretty healthy carbonation, even though it lacked much of a head in the beginning. It's keeping some bubbles and sort of crema type looking stuff on top there, which is a good sign. If it completely would lose all that, it would look almost like it was a sour beer or something, but it's not. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with this beer at all. And the apple smell, it seems so weird. It seems like it should not be a pleasant thing. It seems like it should be a flaw, but it works so well. Probably because it's not too charred, that I'm getting so many of these sweeter caramelized candy elements. And it's not like apple cider and coffee, which is kind of, it sounds gross to me. It works out pretty well. And even having it well, it's still pretty cool. There's so many flavors, so much happening on the palate. It feels like the body of it seems like it just sticks everywhere all over your tongue. And there's a very slight tanginess. It's not, I don't know, it almost seems tart, but whenever I've had an actual tart Imperial Stout or one that clearly messed up and it was getting a little tart, it's been a bad thing. The best sour stouts I've had were like not big, rich, thick things. Like they're going for something different, but this one is a big, rich, sweet, thick stout with lots of chocolate caramelized flavors, lots of vanilla and maybe even like sweet spices. Almost has a cinnamony thing, but there's none of that added to this one. Yeah, this is actually, I'd say it's one of the best stouts I've ever had. It's expensive. This bottle is always going to retail for like $12 or more just for a single. So I guess it's not as expensive as, oh no, I guess by the price per ounce, it's almost as much as some of the Evil Twin barrel-aged beers that are made for them by Westbrook in South Carolina, I think, does a lot of great beers. Sometimes contract brews the very fancy stuff for Evil Twin and other places, but then it's very expensive. So I haven't tried those, but this is a very, very nice and like kind of, I guess you could say the gimmick is the apple brandy barrel. Not many people do that, but it works out well. It seems like it's a challenge. It'd be hard to do this really well in apple brandy barrel. So I'll have to try some of Night Shift's ones, but they never do anything quite this strong. Most of their dark barrel aged beers are under 10. They've been doing stronger ones lately that I haven't gotten on, but I think Prairie is going to be hard to beat for this, and them and like Trillium make some of the sweeter, softer stouts that I've enjoyed a lot lately. Rich and thick, I guess you could say chewy. People throw around the term chewy a lot, but this one almost has, it seems like I just bit into a caramel and my mouth is watering. That's kind of the feeling on the tongue almost. Yeah, I would give this a 90 at least. Really well made. Goodbye.